When Russia launched its invasion of Ukraine in early 2022, almost every military analyst assumed the skies would belong to Moscow. With more than 2,500 combat aircraft, advanced radar systems, and one of the most formidable air defense networks in the world, Russia seemed destined to dominate Ukrainian airspace in a matter of days. Ukraine, by contrast, entered the war with barely 100 aging Soviet-era jets, most of them MiG-29s and Su-27s, and surface-to-air systems, decades behind modern standards. On paper, the imbalance looked hopeless. Yet more than 3 years later, the story is very different. Russia never gained full air superiority, and Ukraine's fighter pilots, now flying Western-made F-16s, are turning the tide in a way few experts imagined possible. The unexpected resilience of Ukraine's Air Force stems from a blend of determination, foreign aid, and innovation. NATO nations such as Denmark, the Netherlands, and Norway donated F-16 Fighting Falcons, older models, yes, but still potent multi-role aircraft. By mid-2024, Ukrainian pilots had completed intensive training programs run by Western instructors, learning advanced tactics, weapons systems, and defensive maneuvers. Within months, these pilots were performing missions once thought impossible. One remarkable episode involved a single Ukrainian F-16 pilot who reportedly intercepted and destroyed 6 Russian cruise missiles in a single combat mission, an unprecedented feat in the entire 40-year history of the F-16. Running low on fuel and with no missiles left, the pilot even used the aircraft's 20-meter Vulcan cannon to shoot down an incoming missile aimed at Kiev, risking his life at point-blank range. That daring move became a symbol of Ukraine's new air strategy: precision, audacity, and creativity against overwhelming odds. The F-16s donated to Ukraine weren't brand-new stealth aircraft. Most were older Block 15 or Block 20 variants that NATO countries had planned to retire as they transitioned to 5th-generation F-35s. But before delivery, these jets underwent major overhauls: new avionics, mission computers, jamming systems, and targeting pods. Each plane received the Electronic Combat Integrated Pylon System, advanced radar warning receivers, and upgraded countermeasures to confuse Russian missiles. The result was a hybrid machine, not quite next-gen stealth, but smarter, faster, and far more survivable than any of Ukraine's previous aircraft. These upgrades allowed the F-16s to link directly with NATO surveillance aircraft using secure data channels like Link 16. Swedish radar planes provided long-range detection, while Ukrainian pilots used that information to strike targets far beyond what their onboard radar could see. In effect, Ukraine built a miniature version of a modern NATO air network, but under wartime pressure and constant bombardment. Why it matters. Before the arrival of F-16s, Russia's Air Force operated almost unchallenged. Bombers could launch cruise missiles from inside Russian territory, and attack jets supported ground troops near the front lines with relative ease. Now that's changed. With the F-16s, Ukraine has been able to intercept Russian drones and missiles, conduct precision strikes on command centers, and force Russian aircraft to retreat deeper into their own airspace. This shift has strategic consequences. Russian Su-34 and Su-35 fighters, once the terror of Ukrainian skies, now operate cautiously at long range, relying on glide bombs rather than direct assaults. Those glide bombs, though powerful, are notoriously inaccurate and vulnerable to jamming, blunting one of Russia's key offensive tools. Perhaps the most impressive part of Ukraine's air campaign isn't just the aircraft, it's the people flying them. Ukrainian pilots had only months to transition from Soviet-era jets with analog cockpits to modern Western fighters with fully digital systems. They also had to maintain these planes without the usual infrastructure. Western militaries rely on no large supply bases, no specialized hangars, and limited spare parts. Instead, crews improvised, setting up makeshift maintenance facilities and developing new tactics as they went. This led to the adoption of an operational concept known as agile combat employment, a strategy that involves constantly moving aircraft between dispersed airfields to avoid enemy attacks. It's a concept the US Air Force has theorized about for years, but Ukraine is the first to put it into full combat practice. Even under relentless missile strikes, Ukrainian air bases have stayed operational. Russia may know roughly where the planes are, but never long enough to hit them. Despite their success, Ukraine's F-16s still face real limits. The jet's radars, though capable, don't match the range or resolution of Russia's most modern systems. The missiles available to Ukrainian pilots, mainly older, AIM-9 and AIM-120 variants, have shorter engagement ranges than the Russian R-77. That means Ukrainian pilots often need to get dangerously close before firing, making air-to-air combat with top-tier Russian fighters extremely risky. Instead, Ukraine uses the F-16s primarily for intercept missions and long-range precision strikes, rather than classic dogfights. To maintain the edge, Ukrainian commanders and Western partners are pushing for more advanced models like the Block 70 F-16, which comes equipped with a modern ESA radar and expanded electronic warfare capabilities. Even with older variants, the F-16s have transformed Ukraine's war effort. They've forced Russia to change its entire air doctrine, from offensive dominance to defensive caution. Long-range strikes that once seemed impossible now reach deep into Russian-controlled territory, disrupting logistics, fuel depots, and radar sites. And as more NATO nations complete their transition to F-35s, dozens of surplus F-16s will likely be transferred to Ukraine. Belgium, Denmark, and the Netherlands are already in the process of replacing their fleets, while other allies, including Norway and possibly Turkey, are discussing further support. These transfers don't just mean more aircraft. They also unlock huge stockpiles of spare engines, avionics, and weapons that Ukraine can use to keep its fleet flying for years. A new era of air warfare. The skies over Ukraine have become the most dynamic testing ground for modern aerial warfare since the Gulf War. It's where Soviet-era tactics collide with Western technology, where pilot skill, adaptability, and innovation matter just as much as the hardware. Every successful interception, every precision strike, adds to a growing list of firsts in combat aviation. Ukrainian F-16 pilots are proving that even with limited resources, determination and ingenuity can rewrite the rules of air power. As more advanced aircraft and weapons arrive, Ukraine's ability to protect its skies and challenge Russian dominance will only strengthen. Ukraine's transformation from an outmatched air force to a formidable defender of its skies is one of the most remarkable military turnarounds of the 21st century. What began as a desperate fight for survival has become a living demonstration of resilience, technology, and courage. The outcome of this air war will likely shape not only the future of Ukraine, but also the future of aerial combat itself. If you want to see how Ukraine is dismantling Russia's air defenses and reshaping modern warfare, make sure to subscribe for more in-depth military analysis and updates on the conflict.